trying to celebrate like the small things in life. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
think kids maybe get stuck on thinking about all the big things in life instead of just celebrating some of those small achievements. Like, hey, you
Mm-hmm.
woke up today and you came to school. Awesome job. I'm so happy that you're here, right? That's what fulfills me. I mean, if I wasn't working with young people, I don't know. I don't know if I would be a very happy person. Um, they young people really make me happy. They like their ideas, their energy. Got it.
Hello, Sobat Kokamuhi! Welcome back to our podcast series where we talk about how to engage the community for a better earth. I'm Nikita, your host who will guide you in this conversation. Today episode is so special and will make you curious because we will talk about authenticity. So the word authenticity itself is powerful for me because it talk about our identity and it would make us who we are. And yeah, authenticity is what we need in our life, how we can bring the impact. So in today's episode, we will talk about how the young bring their impact through their authenticity. And in today's episode, I'm with Miss Sallah.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So we did the other podcast. The podcast, the previous podcast, we talk about how the youth can bring their leadership through cafe science. And in this episode, we will talk about the authenticity. And how do you feel, Miss Sala? And what do you think about this podcast?
No, I feel great. I'm so happy that you invited me back, Nikita. It's great.
Uh-huh.
I always love chatting with you. You have such wonderful
Mhm.
energy. You're authentic. You are your authentic self.
Mhm.
So I always love chatting with you and talking about great topics. And
Mhm.
specifically, yeah, authenticity, like being true to yourself, right? Being true to
Mhm.
potentially your culture, your community,
Mhm.
whatever that
Mhm.
might mean for you. So being
Mhm.
authentic has a lot of meanings for many different people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And in this podcast, we will go deep into culture because culture is one of the things that we can see the authenticity through the Pablo or tribes. And yeah, each tribe or Pablo has their own authenticity from their pattern of their clothes or from their jewelry or the other things or from their
Exactly.
music, right?
Exactly.
And also from their food. So we can
Definitely.
taste we can feel sense different taste from different foods. So yeah, we will also talk about the culture to emphasize about authenticity. And
Mhm.
talking about authenticity, what how do you describe authenticity from your perspective, Miss Sala?
Yeah, so as an educator,
Mm-hmm.
being or incorporating authenticity in the classroom is really
Mm-hmm.
important because that helps you get like a hook or to engage your
Mm-hmm.
students. If like the
Mm-hmm.
lesson you're doing uses their culture or has them think about their community or think
Mm-hmm.
about their culture, that
Mm-hmm.
makes the learning so much deeper. So if you can be authentic in the activities that you plan
Mm-hmm.
around what those students know already, like the language they might know, the practices, the food, like you said, that they
Mm-hmm.
know, they can bring that into their own learning. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like my students in my computer science class, I have middle school students, and
Mm-hmm.
we're building these really cool that we call them laser guitars. But the
Mm-hmm.
laser guitars, you know what a guitar is, right? You strum on a guitar, but instead
Mm-hmm.
of strings, we're using lasers. And so the kids
Mm-hmm.
have to play the guitar by a laser. But beside the computer part, the students have to design a really cool, unique, authentic
Mm-hmm.
design of a guitar. And so
Mm-hmm.
they're coming up with all sorts of creative ways to
Mm-hmm.
make their guitar, and it's just made out of cardboard, and they're painting
Mm-hmm.
it, and they're bringing in their own ideas, they're bringing in what they enjoy, what things they like, whether it
Mm-hmm.
is from like pop culture, like
Mm-hmm.
one of the groups, I don't know, the Minions, like those little from
Yeah, I
Despicable Me.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The yellow one,
So
right?
yeah,
With
the
the
little yellow
tennis.
guys. Yes. So one of them is like creating a guitar with a minion, and then they're going to put some of their own indigenous designs on it. So they're adding some
Wow.
cool designs, but then they're also using the pop culture that they like, the stuff they see on TV or the stuff that they watch. So they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
blending the two together, which makes it very authentic, right? It's like very
Mm-hmm.
authentic to them. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that's never been created before, and they get
Mm-hmm.
to be the ones that design it, and be really
Mm-hmm.
creative with it. So that's just one
Mm-hmm.
example that we were working on today in class.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that it is you have so much fun with that activity and seeing your student doing their authentic thing with their creativity. And do you think that culture is always talking about art or food or the other, or there is the other intangible thing, but it's still important in culture?
hmm Yeah, I know. I mean, I think, language is very
Mm-hmm.
important. But that's hard at our school because so many of our kids speak different languages, and
Mm-hmm.
even the languages that they speak. So, for example, there's Keres, there's Tewa, there's Towa, there's Apache language, there's Dene
Wow.
language.
Mhm,
And so those languages, some of the communities they can't share. They're very like they can't share their language with other groups of people just because it's private to them and it's private to their own community and their religion. So it's very important that they keep their language close to their heart and close to their community. Other of some of our students who are Navajo, or we say Dene, those Diné students, their language, there's dictionaries for their language. They
mhm,
have, it's on the internet, so it's very
mhm,
accessible. So anyone could learn Diné. Like I could learn Diné, and it's okay,
mhm,
even though I'm not Native American or I'm not from their community. So it's very different, right? Each community, each culture has their own authentic language, and then how
mhm,
they share the language is different, just based
mhm,
upon, past history. Most of it's past history that they're
mhm,
dealing with in protecting their languages. They're really protecting
mhm.
them. And there's some communities that are now using artificial intelligence. They're using AI to help
Yeah.
maintain their language. They're
Mhm.
basically teaching the AI their language, but
Wow.
it gets preserved, right? So it
Mhm.
stays around forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
every indigenous community is different. We can't just say, you know, this community, even though they're all native or indigenous people, they have very different ways to share their culture, their language, their food, right? Their dances, their songs.
Mhm.
All of those are very different. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
sure
good to
it's the same in your
hear.
community. I'm sure it's the same there
Mhm.
too, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of language, and actually, I'm mixed. So my tribe is mixed. So my tribe is Dayanese, and Dayanese also have like sub tribes. So we have Iban Dayak, and then Kanayat and Daya. So we in one tribe we also have some sub tribes, and then
Hmm.
they also speak different language. So in Indonesia we have so many language, and yeah, there are a lot of interesting about language in every community or every tribes, and it's good to hear that your student willing to preserve their language in this modern era, right?
Hmm.
But are they first language uh are they first language uh from their native language, or
Hmm.
it is their first language English?
Yeah, no. So most are English is their first language. However,
Okay.
there are men that I mean, some kids grow up like they're kids and their first language is their native language. So
Oh.
it's becoming less and less, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Not many young people their as their first language was their indigenous language, just because the elders are not there or their parents don't speak it to them because maybe they don't feel comfortable, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and English just comes more natural because that's the language that you use around here. Spanish, I don't know, Spanish is also widely spoken around New Mexico. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of our tribes have blended Spanish words with their tribal language.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of like the elders that are still around in the communities spoke both Spanish and their
Mm-hmm.
native language. And then English was like last, it was a third
Mm-hmm.
language. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but for now, for like the newer generations, English is usually the first language, and then their native languages come second. So that's I mean, that's why so many of the languages are dying out because they're not learning their native language first.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
learning English first, which is a problem in America. It's a problem here that we don't encourage bilingual kids as much as we should. I mean, there's many programs especially in New Mexico that do bilingual education, like
Yeah.
Spanish and English, but more and more of the tribes are starting to do that. They're starting to offer bilingual schools that'll be speaking their native language and also English. So they're trying to do more of that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
becoming more and more popular, which is great. So it's going to help them
Mm-hmm.
keep
Yeah.
their languages. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear that in your place there are they use a bilingual language, and I
Mhm.
think elderly is one of the important contributor on preserving language. So I remember that when I was in middle school, my grandmother lived in my home, and
Mhm.
she is I think her first language is from her tribe,
Mhm.
from Dayanese language. So when she talk with my mother or with someone in her phone, she always use her native language. And when she talk with us, she sometimes talk with her native language. So from her,
Yeah.
I learned some native word, because my first language is Indonesian. No, my first language is Japanese actually, because I was born
Right.
there until 6 years old. After that, I learned Indonesian language, and after I interact a lot with my grandmother,
Mhm.
I got to know some Dayanese language, and I think I can. yeah, speak basic conversation with Diana's
That's
language. And
wonderful.
that is wonderful thing.
No, I think that's so, and I think you bring up a really good point of multi-generational families, right? Living together. So when you
Mhm,
live with your grandparents or you're near your
mhm,
grandparents or you're near elders, right?
mhm,
Then that gets passed out. You learn that from your elders. And
mhm,
unfortunately, that's in America, the idea of moving away as soon as you hit
mhm,
18 is very common here. So the
mhm,
children leave, they form their own families, they don't
mhm,
necessarily stay connected with their
mhm,
extended family. And that's
mhm,
happening. I mean, in the Pueblo native communities, that's how they passed the language, right? They would be a community, they would be
mhm,
surrounded by their elders. But now a
mhm.
lot of young people are leaving the communities, they're leaving their
Yeah.
pueblos, they're leaving their native lands to go to the city, to find
Mhm,
work, to find
mhm.
jobs.
Yeah.
And I think that's a world issue. A lot of
Mhm,
young
mhm,
people are not finding enough work in their
mhm,
own communities, so they have to leave to be able to
mhm,
do that. When they leave,
mhm,
it
mhm,
disrupts that language, passing on of the languages to their children, right?
mhm, mhm. And
Yeah.
but the good thing right now is because we have technology, and from technology we can create like artificial intelligence, or in my
Mhm.
community we created a website.
Oh,
In
cool.
that website it includes the database of Puppet. So do you know Puppet?
Yeah.
So um, Puppet is a puppet made from animal skin,
Uh-huh.
and it they draw a character there. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
the character from Hinduism or from their past
Mhm.
story, like Rama, Sinta, that is from Hinduism
Mhm.
culture. And we have Gareng and the other thing. And from that website, the young generation still can access about the character in the puppet. And sometimes they have like puppet shows. So
Uh-huh.
the one who play the puppet, so the one that play the puppet and bring the story, we call them dalangs. And
Oh, cool.
in Bahasa Indonesia, we call puppet as wayang. And
That's great.
the one who played the puppet, we call him dalang. So wayang and dalang.
Uh-huh. That's
Mhm,
amazing. And that's how, I mean, to tell stories, right? So
mhm,
to tell a
mhm,
story with the puppets, to using
mhm,
the language, I mean, that's a wonderful way to
mhm,
pass on the language, the
mhm,
culture, in
mhm,
a very authentic way, right?
mhm,
It's true to your culture. It's true to, the community that you're in. I have
mhm,
a student now. He's going to be
mhm,
graduating this year. He's a senior. And for
mhm,
his project, it was really cool. He was a very good artist and he loved
mhm,
like comics, right? A comic book. You know
mhm.
what a comic book is?
Yeah, comics, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but he created comics from his community. So he put the characters as people, native people from his community,
Mhm,
and he was able to create scenes that you would see from his community as a comic and use some of the language for that too. So,
mhm,
more and more young people are starting to see the importance of passing on their culture, their
mhm,
language, to the next generation. And so he made the comic for young people so that they could
mhm,
feel connected, right? In a
mhm,
way. So, and
mhm.
had like the heroes in the comic were people from the community, right? It wasn't just
Yeah.
Superman or it wasn't like the Marvel characters. It
Mhm,
was
mhm,
actual. like superheroes from their community, which was great.
Yeah, that's great. And digital transformation helps us a lot in preserving the culture. And let's back into the authenticity
Hmm.
and how our authenticity, how the authenticity bring us to become impactful. So when we talk about uh, authenticity, of course, patience and interest become the important attribute that help us determine in which area we want to be impactful, right?
Right.
And and you are very passionate about raising the awareness about culture, and then you are really passionate about science and teaching
Hmm.
the student about code. And how was the process until you find, oh, this is my passion and this is
Hmm.
my interest? Can you share this with us?
Yeah, I know. I think it's really I try to see what the students are passionate about. I try to like listen and see, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want to do or what are you
Mm-hmm.
passionate about? And so that's why I try
Mm-hmm.
to encourage
Mm-hmm.
students, along to kind of share their ideas
Mm-hmm.
first. And if they
Mm-hmm.
need a little help, I'll be like, okay, well, let's talk about, composting, or let's talk about, recycling, or how can we reduce our carbon footprint? What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
How do we, like, even right now, we have one of the students came up with, let's do a clothing and food drive. We have a lot of homeless people in Santa Fe.
Wow.
And so the one of the students was, well, like, let's put out some flyers that say we're going to collect food, we're going to collect clothing, and we'll take it to the shelter. We're going to take it next week. And so
Mm-hmm.
students have been dropping off stuff. I got like a giant bag of food. One kid was just like, here. And it was like
Wow.
she saw the flyer and wanted to do, she wasn't in our club. She was just another student at
Mm-hmm.
SFIS, but wanted to do her part to help the people that didn't have homes or didn't have
Mm-hmm.
good access to food. So she, contributed that way. So it's really neat to see. And that was all student driven. It was like the student made the flyer, the student was the one who had the idea, and I just helped push it along. It was like, okay, great, let's do this. We'll put it into our school bulletin. And boom, we've already got some donations to take next week. So it's exciting to
Mm-hmm.
see the passions of
Mm-hmm.
the students um, come out and help other people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know if that's if I answered your question correctly.
But how do they got the donation? So there are box so
Yeah,
people
they
can
just drop
put
them
the
off.
money
Yeah, they just
or
come. It's not even money, it's just food and clothing. So if
mm-hmm.
they have extra food
Mm-hmm.
and clothing, I have a big bin in my classroom and they come and put it in there. So,
Oh
and then
wow.
we'll just take it. I'll like store it in my office until
Mm-hmm.
next, and then we'll take a vehicle and we'll drop it off at the shelter next week.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And when you are the same age with your student, how is the journey, or how did you get your passion when yeah you are the your age was same as your student?
Yeah, no, I mean, when I was in high school, we had
Mm-hmm.
a green team club, and we
Mm-hmm.
started a like I was part of the recycling club, and we'd walk around to the teachers' classrooms and we'd say, "Hi, do you have any paper you want to recycle?" And we'd pick it up for them and we'd take it back.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really wonderful she was a ninth grade science teacher who was just really passionate about the environment, and she kind of transferred that passion to us, and
Mm-hmm.
made us want to do better. But I think it's a journey, right? So that was in high school. I did some things like that throughout high school, doing some volunteer, but it really wasn't until college that I started to really discover my passion for working with people younger than me, and my
Mhm.
passion for helping people. I mean, I always liked to help people. That was really important,
Mhm.
in my upbringing. Like my parents really instilled that into me, saying like, uh, you have to always think of others. You need to not
Mhm.
always think of yourself.
Mhm.
Um, and so that passion grew when I got to college and I got to work as a tutor. I was tutoring students who English was not their first language. And so I would tutor them in math and science because
Mhm.
I loved math and science too. So it was just a
Wow.
super fun. um I just really enjoyed, being able to share and like help students like understand math and science better too, and really see like, wow, isn't that so cool? Like, that isn't this idea amazing? And to see their eyes, like to see the like the light bulb go on.
Well,
They're-
yeah,
They
light
get,
bulb.
but they're like, oh yeah, like I totally get it now. Now that you
Mhm.
just explained it a little bit different, or you showed it to me in just a little bit different of a way, um, to see that in a student's face, or to see it in the work that they produce, or I think it's very rewarding, as a human being, to know that you maybe had some small impact on someone
Mhm.
else's life in a very positive way, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what fulfills me. I mean, if I wasn't working with young people, I don't know. I don't know if I would be a very happy person. Um, they Young people really make me happy. They like their ideas, their energy. We can learn a lot. We as adults really need to listen to our young people, and we really need to let them, you know, share their ideas with us, and not think that they're just, young people and they don't know anything. Young people have amazing passions, amazing energy, and we need to really, uh, be utilizing that, like harnessing that energy. And so
Yeah.
that's why, I mean, I every day I go to school, I'm happy
Mhm.
because I get to talk to young people. They talk to me. You greet them, you say hi, you have a smile on your face every day. And so
Mhm.
that's just being in a classroom environment just makes me very happy and excited to be there. Like I rarely have a day where I'm like, oh, sometimes go into work and you're like, and I don't see it as work. It's like not really work to me. It's like
Mhm.
I get to just go talk to kids and have fun and do
Mhm.
projects, and it's not,
Mhm.
I don't see it as it's a job, sure, but it's not like hard work or anything like that to me. I don't know how to
Mhm.
explain it. It's kind of a,
Yeah.
you understand? I don't know how
Yeah.
it makes sense to you.
I really understand you. When it comes to your passion and interest, it will not feel like the hard thing or
Yeah,
job, but that's the thing that you enjoy every day, right?
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't feel like work or whatever.
Yeah,
And so I'm
that's
like,
just the thing you do and enjoy every day. What makes you happy? What makes you fulfilled with the energy? And
yeah,
the great thing is that we will happy when not when we do a lot of things for ourselves, but when we be impactful for people, so we feel useful. And yeah, we feel happy because we can do something small to people, we can help people, and that's why we are here together to work together to share each
exactly.
other, and we need to support and appreciate people. But I think in some cases people really want to appreciate, people really want to support uh the other passion, but they don't know how to communicate, or they don't really know the real thing, how we can support, how we can really appreciate them to become better. Can you tell us how you really support your student, and then yeah, just push them for who they are, for their authentic self?
Yeah, no, I think it's just like you said, it's support, it's
Mm-hmm.
encouragement, it's
Mm-hmm.
listening to them and being like just being there because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a lot of young people don't have an adult in their life that they can go to or that they feel comfortable talking with. And so if you
Mm-hmm.
could just be there to listen to their ideas, to encourage, or to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I found this thing, or I read about this, or you might
Mm-hmm.
be interested in this, just to kind of push them along.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they have those doubts, or like even today, I had a student who was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't even know if I'm going to graduate, right? She said that. She was like, I don't think I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
graduate. And there was two adults in in the room with me, and we just started to, talk to her positively to be like, you can do this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're a smart, intelligent young person. And it's sometimes that's all they need to hear. They just need to hear that they can do it, that they have the
Mm-hmm.
abilities. And it's not just because they're smart, it's because,
Mm-hmm.
they can finish something, they can complete a task, or they can
Mm-hmm.
turn in the assignment or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
trying to celebrate like the small things in life. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
think kids maybe get stuck on thinking about all the big things in life instead of just celebrating some of those small achievements like, hey, you
Mm-hmm.
woke up today and you came to school. Awesome job. I'm so happy that you're here, right? Um,
Ah.
so just kind of sometimes celebrating those small things for kids is
Mm-hmm.
makes them feel good and makes them feel
Mm-hmm.
to develop that confidence. Because so many,
Mm-hmm.
with youth today, like with their cell phones, with um, you know, chatting and
Mm-hmm.
looking at a lot of negative stuff maybe online
Yeah.
kind
Mm-hmm.
of bring them down. And so
Mm-hmm.
having those human interactions, just talking to someone, asking them how their day is, right, goes a long way. It really, really goes a long way. So, I mean, that's how I kind of encourage kids. It's just listening, helping them if they have a problem, helping them solve a problem, um, helping them brainstorm like ideas or thinking about new ways to look at a problem. And then just emulating that myself, right? To show that I do that myself, right? I have to solve problems. I have to think creatively, right? If something doesn't go right in the classroom, I can't just be like, oh, I give up, right? I have to
Mm-hmm.
I have to persevere. I have to say, "Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't work. What can we try? Like, what do we need to change here? What can we do differently?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, and I'll have kids will like make they'll be like, "Oh, Miss Sala, that's wrong," or you made a mistake. And I'll be like, oh my God, thank you so much for pointing it out. Like, we make mistakes. Like, it's okay to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think helping kids see that just through your own actions and not
Mm-hmm.
like putting yourself above the student,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can be on their level, right? That, you're not this like know-all person. You don't know everything. You don't do everything right. You make mistakes too. So,
Mm-hmm.
and for kids to see that authenticity of like, oh, they're human. They're not just this,
Mm-hmm.
teacher person. They actually have a life. They have emotions. They have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's true. I'm talking about the mental health, and social media right now become a place to compare each other,
Mhm.
and that becomes that makes the youth become more depressive and stressed because they see the Instagram and they see this influencer achieve this thing and they haven't achieved, they feel like haven't achieved
Right.
this yet, but we can celebrate this, like you said, we can celebrate the small thing that we did in today, and that's the good rewarding, and that makes us feel positive and
Mhm.
make us feel authentic and confident for
Exactly.
ourselves, right? And what do you see in this era with the social media, with the comparison? Do you see any changes that happen in this youth?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of my students now suffer from anxiety. They're very anxious about a
Mhm.
lot of it. They're very worried about a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
They carry that. And so in the past, I never had kids that would like have a panic attack in class. Like I
Mhm.
have kids now that suffer from huge amounts of anxiety. Even my own child has some anxiety. And I think it stems from this social media aspect of comparing yourself
Mhm.
to everybody else and not measuring
Mhm.
up in your
Mhm.
own mind, like that like you said, haven't achieved certain things, or you're not, popular, or you're not famous,
Mhm.
or people, you know, are bullying you online too. I mean, that could be
Mhm.
another aspect of kids feeling anxious and depressed. I mean, always, that's the thing. It's like you never get a break, right?
Mhm.
If the kids are on their cell phone, which, data says the screen time for kids
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
the amount of hours they're spending just scrolling through
Yeah.
TikTok or scrolling through YouTube. I don't, you guys have YouTube there in Indonesia? Like
Yeah.
YouTube? Yeah. So just
Mhm.
looking at all the YouTube, I mean, sometimes I'll do it. I'll be like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's funny, right? But then I'm like,
Mhm.
wait, how much time did I just spend looking at my
Yeah.
phone instead of interacting with people, like talking to people and really like
Mhm.
sharing emotions, sharing thoughts, which we need to
Mhm.
do more. We just need to like put our phone down, have a conversation with someone, because when you do that,
Mhm.
you start thinking, you problem solve, you talk about your
Mhm.
issues instead of just
Mhm.
looking at a phone and not ever resolving some of those issues that you might have going on in
Mhm.
your mind. So
Yeah.
that's kind of scary to me that we are moving away from having more one-on-one conversations or
Mhm.
really having an authentic relationship with someone other than through
Mhm.
it,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Yeah. Other than through like messaging or posting a photo instead of just saying, hey, could we sit down and talk to each other for 5 minutes and have a good
Mhm.
conversation? So,
Yeah, that's really true that my friends also feel a lot of anxiety seeing their future, and sometimes they run away from reality and go back to their phone and scrolling, and that
yeah.
I think that will not solve the problem. Yeah, the way to solve the problem is just sit and just fulfill the energy with the positive thing and
Mhm.
be mindfulness. And yeah,
Mhm.
when you also talk with people, go out with people, we can exchange our perspective, we can exchange um our opinion, and that will sometimes solve problem because when we don't think about this thing, the other think about that thing. So yeah,
Yeah, no,
interact
it's
is,
true.
yeah, interact with people is really important thing, but in this day we far from this thing and be more individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and That's a scary thing
Yeah.
happening
Well,
right now.
and the scary thing too is that, what you're scrolling, right,
Mm-hmm.
is related to an algorithm, right? The algorithm
Mm-hmm.
is saying like, okay, they like this content,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to keep showing them this same
Mm-hmm.
content. So you get caught into this like bubble, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
only see one perspective. You only see
Mm-hmm.
one way of looking at something instead of
Mm-hmm.
being shown other ideas or other information, right? And sometimes that
Mm-hmm.
information is not right. It's not true. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's not true information. So how does a young person tell
Mm-hmm.
what's authentic, what's actual true information
Mm-hmm.
from fake information, right? And it's getting harder and harder to tell because the way that videos can be made, the way that someone could find a video of me speaking and they could
Mm-hmm.
make me say something else than what I
Mm-hmm.
said, right? Through artificial intelligence, through
Mm-hmm.
you know, changing media. So that's also something, young people have to be aware of is that stuff they see online may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily be very accurate or true.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, sometimes social media, digital transformation also dangerous when we use that stuff in not wise way, right?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's if we use it for education, right? If we use it to
Mm-hmm.
teach people a language or we use it to teach people how to cook something, I don't know, right? Those
Mm-hmm.
are authentic things. But if we're using technology to try to influence them to go buy a product or
Mm-hmm.
influence them to believe a certain thing, that's the scary part of it.
Yeah.
It's not educating for good, it's
Mm-hmm.
educating
For
for
bad.
mind control or something. I don't know what's happening. So yeah.
Yeah, like hypnotize.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's scary. Mhm.
Yes.
And I feel that some of the youth have their authentic self, but maybe they really scared to show their authentic self because they're scared of people opinion. They afraid that they don't have friend because they are different.
Mhm.
What I also experienced some gap when I talk with someone that the same age like me. I feel like there are a gap of communication because the way they communicate between the way I communicate is sometimes different. Maybe because I usually talk with the educator and I
Right.
absorb and attract more educator energy. So sometimes it like have gap. So they love to talk about idol, and I don't really know about idol or the other thing. But yeah, because but I think because I know that who am I that I know that
Yes.
I can be impactful for my way, so I don't feel really afraid that I'm different. I'm still can communicate with the friend with the same age with me, but I cannot do a like 3 hour conversation, maybe just 30-minute conversation, but it is still okay for me because yeah, I am authentic and I'm still can impactful in my way. Maybe I can add some positive value, or I tend to be more listener when
Mhm.
they talk to me. So even though I don't really understand, because I tend to be a listener, so they
Mhm.
can share that what they want to share. So yeah, I tend to be like that. So it makes me don't talk a lot, but it can close the gap between us. So that's
Yes.
the thing. But what do you think about yeah your student or the youth that's scared to be their authentic self because they afraid of the gift they will make, or they afraid of people opinion because they become different or something.
Yeah, no, I think it's totally right. I mean, we I grew up that way too. I mean, you were always afraid to show like, okay, who can I show my authentic self to
Mhm,
without being judged or without
mhm,
being made fun of or so you had like in my when I was growing up, I had a really close group of friends who I could totally be myself with, right? But then
mhm.
I was
Yes,
very
I also have
yeah, right? So you
that
can be your
friend.
authentic self, right? But as soon like I have kids that are like that, like I'll see them outside of the classroom and I'm like, "Where's this kid?
Mhm.
I didn't know. Who are you?" Because they're so quiet in class or they don't say anything. And then when you see them
Mhm,
with their friends, they're talking, they're being
mhm,
loud, they're having fun. And
mhm,
so, kids get nervous, I think, around each other. That's just
mhm,
a typical teenage hormone thing, right? To protect,
mhm,
yourself so you don't get, as hurt as much. But, I think for a lot of youth, the fear of being bullied or the fear of standing out. I know that I
mhm,
had a huge fear of like, I don't want to attract everyone's looking at me and when
mhm.
really no one is looking at you. They're not watching you. But in a teenage brain, they think everybody's watching them. They think everyone in
Mhm,
the class, if they did something weird or out of
mhm.
character, everyone would be like, oh, look what she just did. When
Right.
no one
Sometimes
really
I
cared.
feel that. Yeah,
No one
actually,
is
no one will
watching.
care.
Yeah.
Mhm,
No one is watching with that, like maybe
mhm,
me as the teacher, I'm observing like that kind of level of interaction, but their own
mhm,
peers, they're just so afraid of negative feedback from one another.
mhm,
They're afraid to show their authentic self until they're in a very
mhm,
comfortable environment, until they're in a place where they feel safe, where they
mhm,
feel like, oh, I can share who I am with the world.
mhm,
And I'll be okay if people judge me or if people say negative things. I know because I'm so confident in who I am, then the people that say negative stuff, I don't mind because they don't know who I am.
mhm,
They've never met me, they've never talked to me. And I think teenagers are just very hypersensitive to other peers around them. And that's just
mhm,
part of growing up. I think that's part of the natural process of
mhm,
growing up. Um, and yeah, and some people go through it faster than others. And yeah,
mhm,
it took me until college to kind of come out of my shell. Like I was very shy.
mhm,
I didn't want to speak up.
mhm,
I didn't want to talk much to adults. So I was very comfortable with my very close friends, but
mhm.
uh, outside of that, I was very, very shy until I got to college and I was like, what am I doing? Go talk to those people. Like, who cares, right? Go
Oh,
make
yeah,
friends.
who cares?
Yeah, right.
Mhm,
Go have
mhm,
fun. Go meet new people. So
mhm. So what do you want to say to the youth? They are fighting between their fear and their really great vision to make change, or they have a vision of again of change, but they are still fighting with their fear. What do you want to say to them?
I just say, like embrace who you are, embrace your
Mhm,
ideas, find someone, whether it's a peer, someone that's like your age, or an adult that you can like, whether it's a teacher, whether it's another mentor, that you
mhm,
can trust enough to open up to. And
mhm,
then sometimes it just takes time, like to also to tell them like it's gonna get better, like as they grow
mhm,
up
mhm,
and things will change, people change.
mhm,
And if they don't feel confident now, they will
mhm,
soon. They will soon. They'll feel confident soon enough to be able to
mhm.
share those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone has their own journey. Everyone is going to have their own, um, experiences, but to not feel afraid that if they share their authentic self, that people will look down on them. Just know that that's a sign of like mature, like growing up, being mature,
Mm-hmm.
that you can
Mm-hmm.
really embrace who you are, embrace your authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree with you that find teacher or someone that you feel comfortable to share with, because I think positive environment also supports youth to be more authentic for themselves, and they can bring their impactful way. Yesterday I also talked with Miss Marile. So Miss Marile told that don't forget to ask some guidance from elderly, because they have a lot of experience
Yes.
and they will support you. I think because I talk with a lot of educator, and they never judge me. They let me to make mistakes. So from that experience, it's slowly reducing my fear to make mistakes, because even though I make mistake, uh people like you always support me,
Mhm.
always be proud of me, and that's very supportive thing that makes me uh keep growing up and growing up again.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's
Mhm,
just like and I forgot to mention too that, at schools, right, there's clubs,
mhm,
right? Clubs are really like, I wish more kids would get involved with different clubs. They could make their own
mhm,
club, whatever they are
mhm,
interested or passionate about. Form a club or a group
mhm,
where other kids share your passions. And that's a
mhm.
great way to come out of your shell. Because if you're like, oh, you like anime, I like anime, that's cool. We have a
Yeah, yeah,
connection,
yeah.
right? And we now form an anime club and we're going to be, or a K-pop. I know at our school, a lot of kids love K-pop. And so they formed like a dance club at our
Mhm.
school because they
Yeah.
love K-pop and they like to dance, and a teacher supports it. They come to his classroom and they listen to
Mhm.
K-pop and they dance, so
Mhm.
there's, ways to form connections with people just by your passions or your interests in a school environment or even outside, right? You can form those
Mhm.
clubs. So,
Yeah, that's great that we support people who love anime and
yeah.
K-pop, because sometimes people think that people love K-pop only just can do only can just watch, and they can do anything rather than that, but that's not right. So people love K-pop sometimes can dance better than us, and people
Mhm.
love anime sometimes can draw better than
Oh,
us. So
yeah.
just support, just give a support to people for what they love, and don't be judgmental is one of the important key, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, like you said, don't judge people for what they like, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you like different stuff. Why are you judging someone else? So we just need to, as a human race, really embrace our differences, embrace
Mm-hmm.
everything that we like that's different from each other. Because that's what makes the world so beautiful and so amazing to live in. Because it'd be kind of weird if we were all the same, right? And all like
Yeah.
stuff, and
So
we'd be
we don't
like,
have
"Wait a minute."
identity because we are seven.
Right. That's what kind of separates us from like the drones or the robots,
Mhm.
right? That are
Mhm.
programmable. We're not
Mhm.
necessarily we're programmable, but we can change too
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
experiences.
Like the cars need a number to be differentiate, but we don't need number. We have our own identity. We are special for who we are.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love this conversation. I also really love this conversation. And yeah, it's bright my day, because yeah, I start my day with positive thing, with positive energy. So yeah, I feel more confidence for myself. And
Perfect.
thank you for always supporting me for what I do.
Oh, I love it, Nikita. I thank you. I always talk about you to anyone that I can share. I'm like, this student is amazing, and she's like halfway across the world, but we still can connect, and we can
Mhm,
share our thoughts and ideas. And I just
mhm,
think you're an amazing person, and you're doing amazing things. And I think just keep doing what you're being your authentic self, following your
mhm.
passions, following your dreams, because you'll have my support from here in New Mexico, always.
Thank you so much. That's heartwarming.
Yes.
And I always send saranghe from Indonesia.
Oh, thank you.
I think we are close to the end, and thank you so much, Miss Sala, for your
Anytime.
sharing, for this discussion, for the positive energy that you shared with our audience. And do you have anything that you want to say with our audience to encourage them for being their authentic self?
I just say, if the more that you can do to embrace your language, your culture, like your family, be proud of where you come from, be proud
Mhm,
of wherever you are. Um,
mhm,
those little pieces that you can like say like this is special about me, this is special about where my community I come from, and to be willing
mhm,
to share that, I think
mhm,
we'll just make this world a better place if we can all just be really, thankful, and also just be grateful, like grateful for the things we do have, grateful
mhm,
for our communities, our families, if so to
mhm,
think about those things, and to be mindful about sharing that, and being and not being afraid to share that too. So sorry, I'm not
mhm.
super inspirational here.
That's inspiring, and that's something wonderful that we got the encouragement from you. And today we wear the cultural thing, right? So you
Yes.
have
Yeah, these
earring.
are, yep, this is from our Dene community. Like they make some beautiful beadwork. I think
And
this
I always
necklace, yep. And
and
you
I
have your
also have
part.
this. Yeah,
Yes,
this is Diana's jewelry. So
that's
yeah.
beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
culture is beautiful and our
Mhm.
authentic self is beautiful. So
Exactly.
before, and thank you, Miss Sala, for coming. And yeah, hopefully
Anytime.
we can do another fun and exciting discussion about
Anytime.
how to make the community better, how to bring the impactful thing to people. Because by giving the positive energy, we hope that people also receive the positive energy, and they also can share their positive energy to others. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Wonderful.
and
Thank you,
mhm.
Nikita.
And thank you so much for our audience who watched this video. Hopefully we can absorb the positive energy from here and become yourself, become your authentic self, because you are so special and you are so unique, and you can bring impact with your personal authenticity. So before we close this podcast, let's say a powerful word. So yeah, Salam Superhero, are you ready, Misala?
I am ready.
Okay, I count one, two, three, and say salam. We say superhero together. Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, salam, superhero!
Superhero. Yay. Awesome. I
Thank
love
you so
your,
much.
I love
Mhm.
it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank
Bye,
you.
Nikita. Yeah, have a
Selamat
great day.
kembali. Bye
Yes.
bye.